Happy Friday, Buffs Nation. Super excited to be giving you hopefully multiple videos today. In this one, I'm going to break down what's going on with our defensive line. Of course, we got some new transfers on the way, and I think Coach Prime is going to methodically be announcing this, over the next coming weeks. It keeps everybody in the headlines, keeps everybody in the news. We don't need to be worried that, one announcement, or not all the announcements, rather, are coming in one day. You know what I'm saying? We can take our time with this. Let's enjoy it. So today, going to be talking a little bit about Amari McNeill. He's transferring over from Tennessee, and a little bit more about Chazz Wallace as well. I touched on him just very briefly in my video yesterday, but of course, before I get started, hit that like, let me know in the comments what you think about what's going on with the transfer portal, and subscribe. Consider subscribing if you haven't yet. But if you've been following my channel since I started this and sometime in January, that I've been harping on we need defensive line talent. If we're going to compete in the Pac-12, we need depth at both lines, both offensive and defensive line. And it's great to see that the coaching staff, of course, has identified this as a big need as well. And Amari McNeill coming over from Tennessee, he originally was a 3-star offensive line recruit, but transitioned over to defensive line. And even though he didn't get a ton of snaps on the field at Tennessee, he's extremely athletic, 6'4", 285 pounds. We need that kind of beef on the defensive line. And if you know the Pac-12, if we can get as many SEC defensive line transfers as possible over into our squad to compete in the Pac-12, we're going to be sitting well in terms of a defensive line perspective. And that's what I'm really excited about with this, is that not only are we bringing in Chazz Wallace, who's another big guy. I think he's about 6'2", 290, 300 pounds or so. But both of these gentlemen, Amari McNeill and Chazz Wallace, have multiple years of eligibility. And with the transfer portal, there's a potential for this to kind of be a revolving door, so to speak, where you always have guys coming in for their last year of eligibility or a graduate transfer year of eligibility, and there's going to be a lot of turnover. And I still think with this team, there will still be a fair amount of turnover in terms of years of eligibility expiring, after this season. But Coach Prime and the staff, of course they know this. There's a methodology to how they're building this roster, even through the transfer portal. They're not just going after every single guy that may be the most experienced, but they all have 1 year of eligibility left. No, McNeill brings 3 years of eligibility left to play for the Buffs. You have Chazz Wallace, who brings 2 years, like I touched on yesterday. Both of the Florida State transfers coming in, Brandon Gant as well as Derrick McLendon, 2 years of eligibility. And I know that there's been some talk in the comments. I've engaged with some of y'all on one of the things maybe that people are skeptical about is just the instability, whether it's justified or not. I think it's definitely justified after coming off of a 1-11 season and being out recruited by certain G5 schools in the Darrell era. Nonetheless, there is instability, and we're not gonna want to be seeing 50 new guys on the team every year. Coach Prime knows that too. He wants to instill a system and a culture, and you just can't rebuild a culture year after year. You're going to get burnt out doing that. So he's bringing in guys that not only have been recruited and played for big-time programs. What Tennessee is building over there is it's elite. What Florida State has done over the last few years in their rebuild is quite impressive. It's a big-time college football program. Don't know too much about Old Dominion, but we got a mix of guys that have been recruited at the big time college football level. And then we got some guys that have played at lower levels of Division I football, but they're dogs. They have gone out and performed. Overall, Buffs, I think that's what I'm wanting to write home with this right now, is that we're bringing in guys that are going to play immediately, but also have years of eligibility left. And same with, on the defensive line with Shane Cokes. We also brought in Leonard Payne Jr., but I believe this is going to be his last year. So it's going to be important that we got a lot of guys that can continue to grow with this team throughout the years. So again, let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for checking out my video. I'm going to talk a little bit more today about the draft. I might have a video on Christian Gonzalez, might have a video on maybe some other potential 22 team buffs that might be drafted as we get on to day 2 and day 3 of the NFL draft. So be sure to check those out. And until next time, Sco Buffs.